we are live. We are live. What's up, everybody? How is everybody doing out there? I hope everybody's doing great. I'm so excited about today's interview. I feel like it's just going to be off this roof. By the way, my name is Ibrahim Bukazi, and I'm just going to let the beautiful lady do the intro. Just introduce yourself so that people can actually know who you are and what are you doing in this industry. So just a small brief introduction.
Okay, hello, my name is Denelle Ince. The question would actually be, what don't I do? So I'm currently a final year student in Bachelor's of Education, majoring in English, Psychology, and Business. I am also currently a finalist for Miss Radiant South Africa 2020, and I've recently started my own clothing line.
Wow, that means you got a lot of title underneath your belt.
I'm sorry, Ibrahim, I think you are breaking up. I'm just going to get a headset because I can't hear you that well.
Okay, not a problem. Okay. So while we wait, maybe I can just entertain you on a little bit. So this conversation is going to be a really good conversation, and I do feel for those who are actually viewing this on the live streams, if you do have any questions, what you can do is you can just shoot in some questions that you have so that she can also respond to those questions if maybe I do miss some questions. So if you have any other questions for those who are viewing, just throw it down in the comment box, and then she will be answering those questions as soon as we're done with our interview.
Okay, so, awesome. This is much better.
Way better. I think I can also hear you on a much more better level because I like using headsets. It's much more better. So let's just get started with today. First thing is first, I want to know, as a female entrepreneur, because to me, I take you as an entrepreneur because you have you're not just focused only on one particular thing. You have multiple things that you are doing on the sideline. So as a female entrepreneur, for instance, I just want to start with your brand part, especially. How is your brand established, and who is your brand targeted to as your brand? How is it situated, and who is it targeted to? I just want to get a brief understanding about your brand.
Okay, I think I'm losing connection. I'm so sorry. The network is really bad. I think
understand.
It's the weather.
Yes, definitely. I've been having that problem since this whole week. I'm unable to do any video calls with anybody during the course of this week.
I know. I'm so sorry. Okay, so from what I've gathered, you've asked me what it is like to be a female entrepreneur.
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So, ever since I was a child, I've always dreamed of just being my own boss. And it was always in the field of what's my passion, which is modeling. Modeling is my passion. And also, I one day imagined myself becoming this amazing fashion designer. But I never got to do it. I just ended up growing up to be more academically inclined. And I just went around a more academic path. But now that I'm older and I realize that time is leaving me, I'm only going to have this opportunity once, and I cannot wait for people to give me the opportunity. I've got to make it for myself.
True.
So I put together a few sketches, and I realized that, okay, you know what, listen, I'm unable to go for all of these sewing courses and, to learn all of this so quickly. So why not team up with another powerhouse of a woman who is also my partner, Leona Pillay. She's actually been to New York because she's worn Durban July Fashion Week in 2017. So wow, I'm working with a really phenomenal woman. Yes. So I said, let's just team up, and our brand is literally a powerhouse of skills, knowledge, influence, because I hold a lot of influence and I have all of these magical ideas, which she then materializes. And that is how I've now decided to open up my own clothing line. And I am so blessed that a lot of people were closing down their businesses due to COVID-19. Whereas I've actually started my own business, and that is only through God's grace.
Just touching a little bit on the brand, and you actually starting the brand during a very, very critical time, which is the COVID-19. Like, what would you say, like the challenges that you actually face? Because one thing that I want to say is for those people that actually started businesses during this period of the COVID-19, I do feel that they have a much more higher level of succeeding in their business because they've started their business at a very, very challenging period of time. And with that, that actually gives you a much more broader understanding of how the market works at a very, very low time. So what would you say, or what knowledge would you say you gained through this period whereby you started your business at a very, very bad timing? How was the start of your business at this level, like at this stage of the COVID-19?
Okay, so that's a really interesting question. I know, like I said, so many businesses closed down and I decided to open one. And I think it was,
Yeah,
we've got to start finding the positives in every negative. I think most
true.
of us, it's only human for us to just see, like, oh my God, this is happening. The economy is failing. Everything is collapsing.
Excuses,
But I just
excuses.
said, excuses. And I just said to myself, okay, hey, people are all sitting at home. The world
Yeah,
is now confined to nothing else besides social media.
true.
So I said, okay, now is my chance to start advertising myself because a
Yeah.
lot of people, based on my personal social media account, do have a really big following. They love my sense of style. So, of course,
Mhm.
people want to know, hey, where does Denelle get her clothing from? How does she style it? So now they can say, okay, this is Denelle's clothing. I want to buy it. How can I? What is she offering? When are we going to launch stuff? So I think I
Mm.
capitalized on hyping it up and getting the brand out there before we could actually
Hype,
start. And I think
hype is crazy.
hype it. And I think
Always
that's,
works.
yeah, it is
Always works.
crazy. It always worked. And listen, no storm lasts forever. COVID-19, it is slowly coming down. We see that we've dropped in levels. And hey, now people are starting to get money and they remembered, okay, I saw an affordable clothing line where it's within my
Mm.
budget, it's affordable, I will look good. Let's go check out Denelle Ince Lode's Inspire. And yeah, here I am.
I love the way you use the word hype because, like, to be honest, I've been talking about hype, creating hype, even though you don't have the actual product, but you can always start with hype, 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 just to introduce the product into the market so people can absorb it and actually
Yes, of
understand
course.
that this person has a product. And like, hype really works for me. I also want to
No, of
touch on the
course.
modeling. I also wanted to touch on the modeling perspective. Like, I also know that you are killing it on modeling. First thing is first, I want to know, at what age did you start modeling?
I started modeling at the age of 13. I will now be 25.
Wow, so you've been in this game for quite a long time. So
Yes,
to
a very long time.
just take me through the journey of you as a 13-year-old girl starting off as a model, and what were your thoughts? Like, okay, do I want to take this to as a career, or I just want to do it as a hobby? Because as a kid, when we do things, we started as a hobby, something for fun that I really enjoy doing this. I just want to do this
Hmm.
for fun. But where did it change in your mind? Like, okay, modeling for me is not just more than just a hobby, but I want to take it to a level whereby I'm actually getting paid to do it and I'm actually enjoying what I'm doing because it's the love and the passion that you have. So at what age did you have that mind shift that, okay, I want to do modeling for my whole life basically? So could you just take me through that journey from as a kid and at the age you are at this moment?
Okay, awesome. So, basically, I'm just going to start with a quick story time. When I was 12 years old, we were asked for life orientation to make a vision board of where we would like to see ourselves. And I'm
Okay,
obsessed with Mariah Carey, who is my supermodel.
I saw your vision board. I was so impressed. I was like, wow, people are still doing this. And to be honest, like I have a big vision board. My board is a whiteboard, so I scratch and rub everything now and then. But like vision boards are awesome. You can just continue with the story.
Yes, awesome. Okay, so now I just want to mention you've mentioned vision boards, and many people are doing this now. I'm going to
Mhm.
be 25 at the end of this year, but my vision board was created when I was 12 years old and it has remained untouched. So that vision has stayed for such a long time, and it has actually materialized and manifested into reality over the past few years. So I put myself by 2020, and by 2017, I was already an established model. I've already been on TV. I've already been in magazines. I bought my daddy's own car. I've met the stars, I've traveled abroad, I've modeled internationally. So I think it's so important to actually have vision, but not just, but vision with purpose, because it's one thing to see something and it's another thing to get it done. So when I was 13, my gran started and she's like, listen, let's go send you to modeling classes. So I joined an agency, but what really shot me up and made me spiral out of control, I would say, I was approached, I did a fashion show, and I was approached by a lady to just enter a pageant. And I said to myself, I'm a model. I'm not a pageant girl. I know to walk that walk. I know to look fierce. I wasn't that smiley girl. And then I entered my first pageant and I won. And I then won the next 3 consecutively. And one of the biggest titles when I was 15 was Miss Teen. So people started to get me noticed, and I had left my agency and I decided, hey, I don't want somebody else to take a cut of my money. I want Denelle Ince to be a brand. So that is where I started branding myself and I started getting my own gigs. I now have 14 beauty titles. I have 2 KZN Young Achiever Awards for Pioneer Leadership and Beauty with Purpose. And I just want to say, you don't need anyone to do that for you. You go out, you take an opportunity and you soar.
Wow. Like, that's amazing. Like, that's really amazing. And
now
one
I'm
thing
a
that I must
finalist for
say,
Miss
like,
Radiant South Africa.
and trust me, you are going to win. You are going to win. That I'm putting
God willing.
That I'm putting my money on that you're going to win. There's really one thing that really I really love that you said a brand, like a brand. A lot of people don't understand what's the meaning of a brand and how to actually bring up a brand and how to grow a brand. People always think a brand is more of sort of a business, whereby it's more of the individual who's doing something and like bringing value towards the people that basically are consuming that person's content. That's one thing. That's one thing I must say that you have totally like established for yourself, and I must say like props to you, like congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I also want to touch base, like being a model and actually traveling the world. How has it shifted your mindset basically? Because like a lot of people in South Africa, when we're stuck in one country, we only think, okay, this is how things are done. But as soon as you get that opportunity to go abroad, you actually get to expand your knowledge and to expand the way you think and see things. Like, what kind of opportunities would you say you have actually got to see from other countries that you have brought into South Africa?
Okay, so I will mention the fact about social media. You know, everything is now going through via social media. Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, I had a phone call coming. Sorry about that.
It's okay. So I would first start off to say, within South Africa, there is endless opportunities. But I am from one of the smaller cities, which is Pietermaritzburg, where there's not much scope. And especially for a brown girl.
City.
Yes, you know how it is, right? It's very difficult. And so I had to decide, okay, I've got to make my name for myself that's impactful, that's not just going to reach my city, my province, my country, but the world at large. And that is how I've used my Instagram platform. And when I moved abroad, I then started meeting new people. Networking is so, so important. I was in a foreign land. I didn't know anybody. I just met one person that got me connected to so many places. And a few weeks down the line, here am I, the only Indian girl on an American online store, and having to model there. It just broadened me up so much to the fact that I realized, if they can treat me so well abroad and have everything ready and everything paid for, the same thing should be done here in South Africa. I think that models are really undervalued. People expect everything to be done for free, and those days of getting exposure is over. Girls, please stop doing gigs for exposure. You are your own exposure. Start getting paid.
Mm, that's so true. Uh, I also, to be honest, like touching on that base whereby you're always expecting people to give, 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 give. It doesn't work nowadays. It's all about you actually
Mm-mm.
going out there, putting in the work, creating something of value so people can actually pay attention to, and then from there you can start receiving. Like I've really noticed that it really works. From my perspective, it really works.
Yes, of course.
Another thing that I also wanted to ask you, at this moment, what would you say like the challenges that you are facing within your businesses as a brand, and within as a brand of yourself as a model, and with also having your own clothing label? What would you say the challenges you are currently facing at this moment, and how are you overcoming those challenges?
Okay, cliche enough, I feel like the only challenge I have is time, because there's
Mm.
so much of things that I want to do, but I lack time, because I feel that no millionaire is going to have one source of income. So I try to do
True.
a lot of things at one time. So I am a final year student and I'm doing 7 modules in one semester. I'm
Wow.
also working online. I'm a teacher. I teach English and science full time. I then also I do paintings. This is one of my paintings.
I was going to get
I
to the painting sooner or later. I was going getting there.
I run my own social media, and remember, social media is a job in itself. You've got to constantly create content, keep yourself as a hype. I then run my clothing line, and I also do a lot of charitable initiatives which are self-initiated, and also I'm upholding another brand which is Miss Radiant South Africa, and I'm trying to also incorporate this platform within my own and just merge it into something powerful.
Wow, that's really awesome. Just touching on the social media perspective, I am very, very, very big on social media, and I'm a firm believer on social media. I have invested like everything of mine onto social media. How are you using social media to actually tackle everything, like, and actually grow yourself as a brand? And I also want to know, like, which social media are you actually using it, and you actually pushing on? For instance, I just want to touch base on that.
Okay, so basically, I've initially started off, we all had Facebook. And thereafter Facebook, Instagram became a hype, and I started building there. Out of all of my friends, I promise you, I was the last person to get Instagram, but I now have one of the biggest pages, which I've never imagined. And I just started to realize that I was myself. I was posting myself. There was no need to get just photography photos. There was no need to edit my photos. It was just me being me, and I captured an audience, and slowly that began to grow. I then opened myself up to TikTok. That's something that's really trending now. Even opened myself up to YouTube. So TikTok is like a really an amazing way to start getting your brand and yourself out there.
And it's so underrated at this moment. Like, people
are
sleeping on TikTok. Like, they're really sleeping on TikTok.
Yes, they are. And I just built from there. And I love telling people, if you want to know about me, Google my name. I'm absolutely proud about my name, my brand. And if you Google my name, you can see much more than just social media names. You see everything that I've done. And that's something I'm very proud of.
Awesome. You're really amazing. I really love it. The way you present yourself, the attitude that you're putting towards the thing that you do, and I really see the passion. Like, and for such a young lady going out there and traveling and experiencing the world, like it's really, really amazing. Another thing that I really want to know, like, what would you say is your biggest highlight so far?
My biggest highlight so far, if I were to say in the modeling industry, it was me being noticed more than just beauty. I'm much more than just a beautiful face. I'm much more than just the cliched beauty with brains. I'm a person who wants to inspire and wants change and be that catalyst for change. And for me to have won 2 KZN Young Achiever Awards at the age of 21, that had to be a highlight, because it just showed that my work was recognized, and I have been making a difference in my community. So that was a huge highlight for me. And personally, I think it would have been buying my dad his car.
I think I've heard that story on one of your social, oh, on the article. I think it's an article, if I'm not mistaken, also.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yes, yes, definitely. And also, one thing that you said that I really love is giving back. Like, giving back is the one of the most powerful thing that one can do when they actually are on the way of being successful or successful. It really does play a big role within your community, because like the support starts from at home, and then it goes around your community, and then from there it spread
Yes,
out
of
to your
course.
city and then abroad. And that's one thing I must applaud you for, actually like giving back to your community. I also want to
Thank
know,
you.
how are you staying relevant, and how are you continuing to actually learn? Because I know the fashion industry is crazy. Like, the fashion industry is crazy. I also just started my own clothing brand, but I lack a lot when it comes to fashion. It's crazy. How are you staying in touch, or how are you staying relevant within the fashion industry?
Um, I would say that I'm a person with a lot of vision. Like
Mm,
I could see a really big shirt, for example, at Mr. Price. It may be going,
mhm.
it's an extra large, it's going for like 20 Rand. And then I tell myself, Denelle, you can DIY this and make this an outfit. And that is one of the ways I stay relevant. I just look at something and I vision it, and I'm like, wow, that's going to look amazing. Another thing that also has helped me is being in China. Their fashion is insane. It's mind
Mm.
blowing. So things I've worn 3 years ago are only coming into trend in South Africa now. So I feel like
Wow.
I've been relevant a few years prior than now.
You've been ahead way than us, that means. But that's great. Like, that's really great. And that's one thing that I really love about traveling, because like something that's trending in another country, it might take a while to actually trend within your country. And that means you could be way
Yes,
ahead.
yes.
You could jump in within
Especially
the
in South
trend.
Africa,
Yes, that's so
we're
true. And
so
we
far
are
behind.
way behind, way behind. I also want to touch on a top, or something that people hardly talk about, and that's failure. I know people normally see the success, the glamour, the glitz and glamour, but nobody wants to talk about failure. What has been the
Mhm.
biggest failure that you have faced within your whole career, and how have you overcome it?
Okay, so I think this is actually something I actually faced 2 years ago, but only brought it into light this year.
Mm,
I think my only fear of failure is myself. I
mm,
set
mm.
such high expectations, and I end up just fighting myself in the end, and I don't give myself enough credit. So, one of the
Mhm.
biggest failures I had to face was in my last few years of pageantry. I've always just fallen short, and pageantry has now become a place where it's all about who you know and money. And
Mhm.
when I wasn't winning, I started questioning myself. I started doubting myself. And I
Yes.
became so fixated on wanting to win. And then I realized, man, it's not about winning anymore. It's
Uh-huh.
your mark. It's about, is she still remembered? Yeah, that girl won, but what is she doing? So even though I never had that in the last few years, I didn't have that first position, I may have had second, I still made it count. And I think you've got to look at failure as even a win, because it's up
Mm,
to you
mm.
to stand out, make that difference, and just turn everything around. Failure is only a stepping stone to success, and I am witness to that.
That's beautifully said. I love what you just said right there. It's so amazing. Also, I also wanted to know, as you are you the same person when it comes to business? Like, do you have different type of characters? Because I know people switch characters now and then, and then one minute you see them as a different person when they're doing this, they are a different person. Do you switch characters, or are you just the same person?
I actually would like to say that I'm both. Most often, I like to be the same person, and then at the same time, I just like to switch. I always say, almost like Beyonce and Sasha Fierce.
Mm-hmm,
When
mm-hmm.
you see me and you meet me, I'm just this bubbly girl, and I'm just so excited and willing to help. And then when you see me on stage, it's like fire.
I love that. I love that. I really love that. So I also want to ask, where do you see your brand within the next 5 to 10 years time? Like, kind of what visions do you have for your brand within the next 5 to 6 years time?
Well, if I were to say in 5 to 6 years' time, Denelle Ince as a brand, she's international.
Awesome.
She's going places, doing big things, and I just believe that you need to speak it out in the atmosphere, send it out to the universe, claim it in Jesus' name, and yeah. And I just see my clothing brand itself. I also do see it going international. I mean, why not? No dream is too small. It's all about putting in that hard work.
True, true. There's something that I really like that you said, God first, because I always tell this when everybody asks me how to do this.
Of course.
Put God first. If you want your hustle to really work, you need to put God first. Then everything will just follow up after that.
That is my secret to success. I pray about everything.
That's so amazing, and I must say that it really works. It really works. Another thing that I want you to actually, like, if you had to give advice to any young female out there who's still thinking about or wants to step into the field maybe that you are in, for instance, like modeling, because I know a lot of young kids aspire to become models, but maybe they lack a knowledge where to start or where to go to do those I'm not too sure how can I say interviews to be a model. What advice would you say, or what information would you give them to follow up to actually get into the career of modeling?
The best advice I would say is, of course, be yourself. But most importantly,
okay, I think with network.
Okay, I think we got cut off here. Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Okay, so I think it's important for you to be your own brand. Stop paying people for photography. Stop paying people to do shows. Take out your own pictures. Get yourself out there. Get that exposure. Make the exposure for yourself. And then decide, okay, is this something that I want to do? Is this something worth going into? Because trust me, there's so many people that come, little girls that come into my Instagram DMs and they're like, Denelle, I want to be like you. And I'm like, honey, you also need to realize you don't have a life. You are constantly in the public eye, and you need to ask yourself, is this something you're ready for? So I would say, do enough research and ask yourself, firstly, you can be physically appealing and beautiful. You can have all the intelligence in the world, but are you emotionally ready for the fame that comes with it? That would be my advice.
That's really, really well put. A lot of people love being famous, but when they get to that point, it becomes a whole lot of stress, and they really cannot handle it.
It becomes overwhelming.
Yes, and it really, and some people, it destroys them, like totally. 1 minute they're in the spotlight, next minute they're gone, bam, gone. So Denelle, I do not want to take much more of your time. I know you are a busy lady and you have other things to do. So if people want to get in touch with you, like how would they get in touch with you or your brand, or maybe if they want to get some of your clothing and also the paintings? I love your paintings. How do we get a hold of your paintings?
So it's simple, guys. Everything is at Denelle Ince. You can just search me. You can send me a message, pop me an email. Everything is at Denelle Ince.
Thank you very much. But what I'll also do, I'll also leave it also in the comment, just in case if somebody doesn't get the opportunity to type it out. So it's just going to be right there at the bottom, so you can just click it and get your profile. So you are on Instagram. You are on Facebook.
I'm on every social media page. TikTok, YouTube.
Spreading the love all over. That's amazing. That's really amazing.
Yes, leaving a little sparkle everywhere I go.
And that's what I always see, that it's always there. It's like that magic.
Yes, it's an inspired touch.
And it's, to be honest, it's really working. Like when I first came onto your profile, the way we actually got to meet, it's kind of crazy. Like the way we actually got to know each other. You buying something from me meeting with your mom, and then talking to her. And like, to be honest, like since then I've always followed your content. I'm like, okay, this lady, definitely one day I'm going to do something with her. But at that moment, I didn't know exactly what I was going to do with you, but I really wanted to work with you on something. And I must say, like, doing this interview with you. I'm really grateful, and thank you very much for actually making this opportunity, for taking your
You're
time out
most
to actually
welcome.
do
Thank
this
you
with
so
me.
much for having me.
I really appreciate it. So for those people who don't know, it's Denelle Inspire. Make sure you follow her on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube. She's everywhere, and I guess I'll see you on the flip side, my dear.
Thank you so much. Have a good day.
You too.